What's up, everybody? It's Eli here for Treefall Studios, and welcome to our first video of 2025. If you caught our last video, the year-end video for 2024, it was the Indie Studio breakdown. You might have been a little shocked or a little nervous about the future of Treefall Studios, because I mentioned in there that the sales were not so good. So this video is going to be talking about the roadmap that I'm going to be taking, what games we're going to have coming out in 2025, the order, and what the kind of game plan is for Treefall Studios on how I plan on keeping in business. And for the developers that watch our channel out there, this is, sort of tips for you guys, but really this is only applicable to my situation. So you can use it for your own benefit, but most likely you're not really going to be able to do exactly what I'm doing because you probably won't have built up the amount of IP that I have. So let's go ahead and talk about it, and let's jump on into the video. So after reviewing our company's finances and taking a look at all of our income sources for 2024, this is what we're going to be doing going forward. First category of plans we're going to be talking about is platforms. So if you saw the income video breakdown for 2024, you could see that there is a disparity in our platform income. It was actually quite fascinating. If you guys haven't checked out the video, go ahead and check it out. It's the last video that we posted. There's a lot of good tidbits in there for game developers and for fans, just so you guys can learn about where we're making money in video games. But if you noticed, basically 90% of our income came from PlayStation, and then Steam was like towards the bottom. Xbox was like half of Steam. So it was like Xbox, and then like Steam doubled Xbox, and then Atari VCS was above Steam, and then PlayStation was the rest. And all of those sources added up, those other three sources plus the Patreon as well, all equaled about 10% of our income, and PlayStation sales equaled about 90% of our income. So what we're going to be doing is basically going forward, we're going to continue going on the PlayStation exclusive route. Not completely exclusive, because a lot of times I say PlayStation exclusive, but we might still port it to Atari VCS, just because a lot of people don't even realize it's a platform. But we do have a growing fan base on Atari VCS. We get awesome comments all the time on this channel about how people enjoy our games on the VCS, and I actually like developing for it because it's fun. It reminds me of the old school days where video games were just about fun and not about, just making it a live service cash cow. Basically, there's too many new features on all these new consoles that are all aimed at just, addicting players and getting players stuck online all the time, that kind of thing. And the Atari VCS is just old school. It's just a box that plays video games, so I like making games for it. However, with that being said, not every single one of our games is going to come to the Atari VCS, just because it is weaker hardware-wise. It's getting old, and there are going to be a couple of games this year that we might actually push forward and only do a PS5 release. A lot of our games are PS4, PS5, and we're going to be doing that for every game that we can this year. But there's one game in particular that I'm not really going to spoil in this video, but I'm going to be trying to push some graphical boundaries, and we might be doing it only on PlayStation 5, so the PlayStation 4 doesn't hold it back. Stuff like that is not going to be going on to the Atari VCS, obviously. And as far as Steam goes, it's really not worth our time, and it's not worth our money. Or my money. I always say our when I'm talking about the studio, because we do have people that contract with us and some other people that work here from time to time, but right now it's basically just me to save money. But so Steam really isn't worth my time. However, it's very interesting. I've been selling a lot of games on Steam. Well, basically right now, this is just kind of candid off the cuff. This wasn't planned for the video, but the only games that really sell on Steam for us is Maze and Maze Pedestal of Trials and The Letter. Those are like the only three games that sell. So like Tilting Tiles didn't really sell that well. None of the Perplexing Orb games sold on Steam. They're very, very bad. Like, they all sold more on VCS, and they sold so much more on Wii U than they did on Steam. And obviously PlayStation, they're like super good. So like the Monkey Ball type games, I guess that's just not really good for the Steam audience. So if I'm ever making an Orb game or the new Tilt games, probably won't go over there to Steam, because it costs $100 and it takes like a month. I gotta do UI for the keyboard and the mouse and for the Xbox controller. And I don't really, it's just like at this point, if I only develop for PlayStation, I don't even have to bother with Xbox icons anymore at all. So it's so much easier just to skip the Steam release. With that being said, some major games are going to come to Steam. So quick breakdown to go ahead and recap this, bring it back in so we can move on to the next topic, is we're going to be making a bunch of games this year exclusive to PlayStation. 75% of the games are probably going to come to the VCS, and maybe 25% of the games are going to come to Steam. And we are no longer developing any games for Xbox whatsoever. It was not worth the time. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the investment at all. And we're not going to be going in that direction at all anymore. So if you enjoyed Tilting Tiles on the Xbox, I'm glad that you did. But, you know, it just doesn't make financial sense for us. And basically at this point, you know, we're trying to hang on and stay in business. And the amount of time that it takes to get an Xbox port of the PlayStation games running, accepted through certification, published versus the money income, we could have done another PlayStation game and made 10 times the money that we would have on the Xbox. So it makes no sense, you know, so we're not going to be doing any Xbox. So we've written Xbox off for good. We've also written off Nintendo, obviously, because you know, we've been trying for years to get on the Switch, and they constantly denied us over and over and over. They've already announced the Switch 2. Everyone's going to be buying the Switch 2. It's going to be really fun for, you know, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. However, the Nintendo developer site has already updated itself, and they're not accepting any indies right now for Switch 2 at all. And they say a later date. So guys, that means it's going to be a while before you see any kind of small indie games like me on the Switch 2. It's only going to be stuff like, you know, Silksong, The Hollow Knight, Stardew Valley, Hades. Those are the only indies that's going to be on Switch 2. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to put this out in the video. This is my prediction for the Switch 2. I actually think that it's backwards compatible for physical and digital games, but I think in order to clean up the dirty shop from the eShop, I'm thinking that you're not going to be able to see those old games on the new Switch eShop, that they're just going to be searchable and or re-downloadable. But if someone releases an indie game on Switch 1, it's not going to show up in the new games tab on Switch unless they do like a Switch games tab where it's like kind of hidden and all the Switch 2 stuff is on the shop. I think they want to hide that stuff. So basically, it's impossible to get on Switch 2. Switch 1 is not really worth our time, and I don't think it's going to be visible on Switch 2. So we're not going the Nintendo route at all. We're basically going all in on PlayStation, and we're going to be basically, I'm going to be starting to make some games that are retro styled for PlayStation lovers, for like old school PlayStation games that I grew up on, and Nintendo styled games that don't really show up on PlayStation. We're going to be making indie type games for PlayStation for that audience as well. So it's going to be kind of interesting. So that's the platform wrap up. That's my plans going forward for the roadmap. So let's talk about what I'm going to do for games. Alrighty, so I got this idea, guys, when I was thinking about how we could bring in revenue and looking at all of our past games. You can see I moved the screen over a little bit and tried to get enough light on the camera so that it could be running in the background and not be super fuzzy. Sorry if it's kind of ugly. I don't really have enough lights to make this look really, really clear, this video, but I'm looking at it. It doesn't look too bad. We'll get there as we can, you know, get a little bit more money in for upgrades for the video setup. But I don't make too many YouTube videos, so we've kind of been working with the one floodlight for a while now, guys. But anyways, so I got this idea looking at Micro Challenge. The original idea of Micro Challenge was Tilting Tiles was really successful, and then the second game wasn't as successful, and I wanted to introduce people to the puzzle series because I really, really like it, and I love all of the levels. I love designing the levels. I think it's very unique. I don't think anyone else has games that are like this. So I made this game that was smaller than the other games, and but it still was a pretty big game. It had multiplayer, 20 stages, yada yada, really awesome level designs, new player mechanics, all this stuff. So it's a full-size game. I would have normally charged $3 to $5 for it probably. Instead, I charged 49 cents to try to get hundreds of thousands of people to see it and download it just out of curiosity, and introduce people to the franchise. And I've mentioned over the last couple of years in my videos that didn't really work out because a lot of people bought it, yes, but it was priced just too low for enough people to buy it for us to really actually make any money off the game. So what I've decided is I'm going to go back to that concept and that idea with like a small entry that introduces you to a franchise that's low priced. And I'm going to do that for basically every single Treefall Studios franchise in 2025 and reintroduce new players to Treefall Studios and try to bring in revenue and make bigger games with that in the future. Now, with that being said, I've learned some lessons from Micro Challenge. 49 cents is priced too low. However, I'm going to be trying basically some $1.99 stuff, 99 cents maybe on occasion, bump it up just to where it's still super cheap and they're smaller games, so they take less time to make, and hopefully basically on the time that it takes me to make each game and the low price will sell enough copies to introduce people to each franchise so that maybe some people who haven't played it before will go play some of the other games that are bigger or more expensive. For instance, maybe if we do like a 99 cents introductory Perplexing Orb game, you would go buy Perplexing Orb 1, 2, Bounce Challenge, and Bounce and Roll. For instance, but we're not doing another orb game right away. That that's down the road because we just released Bounce Challenge like 6 months ago or something like that. So that's the idea. That's how I'm planning on staying in business. And one of the first games I want to announce, I'm going to mention a couple of them. This is going to be like kind of candid. I'm just telling you guys what the plans are, what you can expect, because we got fans all the time asking, where's this game? Where's this game? There's a lot of these games that are bigger now, and like I want to make them even better, and we don't really have money to finish them. So what we're going to do is release these smaller games, and the first one we're going to be doing is a brand new Maze game. And this is going to be tiding you over for Maze Rising Trials. So if you guys know, Maze Rising Trials is a big game that we developed for a bunch in, I want to say, did it start in 2023? I think it might have. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it did. So I think it's been in development for a while now. And it's a larger scale maze game, basically like Pedestal of Trials or the original Maze. It's going to be it's actually a lot bigger than Pedestal of Trials. The levels are way more complex. And I've got these new ideas, guys, that are going to blow your mind for the last like 3 levels. And I haven't shown off any of it yet. And it's really going to take the Maze series to a whole nother level. And everyone's really excited about it. And I want to try to get Rising Trials to be like our Christmas holiday game for 2025. But to tide you guys over, because it's going to take longer and we need some more revenue to finish that up, I'm going to be releasing a new Maze game called Maze Interim Odyssey. So the naming is, interim. We've got a small brief game to tide you over to get to the next big series, the next big sequel, the next big entrance to the Maze franchise, and Odyssey, obviously adventure. So it's gonna be called Maze Interim Odyssey. Very cool name, I think. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the name. And the whole goal is that I'm gonna get these games out every single month or every other month. We're going to be releasing a tiny new game just like this. This is going to be very small compared to Maze Pedestal Trials. It's going to have 3 levels, basically an easy, a medium, and hard, and it's going to introduce everyone to the world of Maze. So now let's talk about the other games that we're going to be tackling in this short form Treefall Studios bite-sized project style to get revenue in over the next couple of months. So Maze is going to be one of them. We're going to be doing another word search game. I haven't come up with the title yet. I'm workshopping a couple of them, but it's going to be the 3rd game in the word search series, and it's going to have the large mazes and the regular size mazes from Whopping Word Search, and it's also going to have a shrunk down mini maze. There's going to word search grid sizes, excuse me. We're just too excited about Maze Interim Odyssey, guys. I hope you guys are just pumped for it because it's looking awesome so far. But this is going to have small word searches, medium word searches, and large word searches, all sorts of new themes, new words, obviously new themes for the background, new themes for the word search sets themselves. No words are repeated from any of the other ones, so it's actually really difficult. Every word search game I make, it gets harder because there's so many levels I've already done, and to come up with new sets of categories and new words to put in the word searches, I mean, there's a ton of words left in the English language, but I'm running out of words for groups to do levels on. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we're going to be doing a miniature maze game. We're going to be doing a new word search game. We're going to be returning to Mighty Math pretty soon. Going to go ahead and put that out there within the next 6 months. I think I'm going to be attempting to do a sequel to Mighty Math because it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. The dev time on it will be a little bit smaller. I got a bunch of new ideas for the sequel as well. So we're going to be doing that. And to top it all off, guys, I should have led off with this and mentioned this first because we were talking about Micro Challenge. But to start everything off in the Treefall Studios calendar of releases for 2025, Micro Challenge is going to be jumping from PS4 to PS5 this coming week. I actually don't know what day this video is going to be posted. I think it's going to be on the 23rd and or the 22nd, and the game is going to be coming out on the PlayStation 5 on the 23rd. So it's this Thursday. Depending on when you're watching this video, it's going to be available on Thursday. And even though, guys, I already mentioned that I've basically lost money on this project and that it needs to cost more, I'm basically honoring the PS4 price, and I'm also releasing it on PS5 for just 49 cents again. It's the same game, it's just a port. I didn't do too much to it. I changed a couple of things, quality of life features. One of the levels, one of the items was pretty hard to see, so I added some transparent zones. So when you go into some of the cavern walls type of thing, it will go transparent so you can actually see the items and not get as frustrated. So I did that, and I changed up the anti-aliasing and a few of the texture materials so it would look better and run smoother on the PS5 instead of being so kind of a little less jaggy than it was on the PS4. So it looks really good, and it's ready for the PS5, and it comes out this week. So once again, might be dumb to leave it at 49 cents, but maybe you want to double dip on there, play it a second time. Who knows? Maybe some guys want to play it again. You guys can pick it up if you've never played it before. It's an awesome game. It's got 5 co-op levels, 20 single player puzzle levels. So, you know, it's 2 hours or more. If you play multiplayer, you're getting 3 hours of content for 50 cents. You know, you can't really beat that price. You can't beat that price. So that's our first release for 2025. So Micro Challenge is getting ported from PS4 to PS5. In February, we're planning on launching Maze and Interim Odyssey. After that, we're going to be launching the new word search game. And then after that, we're going to be launching the new Mighty Math game. And then there's going to be like another special short game, a major game in the summer in the Pitter Pot franchise. I don't want to say anything else about that except for Pitter Pot. It's going to be coming back soon. We've already mentioned it before in the last Treefall Studios Developers Conference, I believe we showed off the Cursed Thicket teaser. However, the project is basically morphed and changed into a different game, and we have a couple of entries into the Pitter Pot franchise, actually. Some spin-off games. This is technically a spin-off, but it's going to play like a Pitter Pot game. You guys will see more. We're going to do a big video blowout announcement for that soon. Probably 3 months from now, 4 months from now, it's going to be getting closer to being ready. And as long as we can stay in business that long, this game is going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. And then once we get past the little games, the next major games that we plan on releasing, obviously, just so you guys know what the timeline slate looks like, is the last major Tilting Tiles game before we're going to take a break for Tilting Tiles for a little while, is Tilting Tiles Temple Trials. That was announced last year. Going to do some update footage on that. And then Maze Rising Trials, obviously mentioned it in the top of this video. That's going to be hopefully our big holiday game, and then that will round us out for the year. So it sounds kind of crazy. We're going to do a Tilt game, a Maze game, a Pitter Pot game, then a word search game, another Maze game, and a Mighty Math. So that's 6. So that's basically 1 every 2 months. So you're going to be getting Treefall content all year long, and it's going to be crazy. That would be the most games I'd ever released in a year, I think. Yeah, I think so. But this time, guys, like I mentioned at the start of the video, we're going to drop all the extra platforms. A lot of these are going to be dropping Steam. We're going to be doubling down. We're going to be doing what we know best. I know the PlayStation process. I'm so familiar with the hardware. We're just going to make awesome games, and you're just going to have a whole lot of fun, I hope. So that's the year roadmap for Treefall Studios for 2025. This video was completely unscripted, and I feel like I babbled a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed and are looking forward to Treefall Studios in 2025. All right, guys, let me know down below in the comments, what does this plan sound like to you? Are you excited for any of these games? Do you think we're going to make it? Are we going to run out? Are we going to go out of business before we get it all done? Can we actually get all 6 games out this year? I don't know. But before I end this video, let me give a huge shout out to everybody who supports Treefall Studios on patreon.com. I got to give a huge personal shout out to PLP, Shark and Minnow, Thomas Stewart, and Space by Name. Those are the 4 guys who are on the tree tier for our Patreon page. If you're interested, you can check out the links down below. All right, guys, without further ado, I'll catch you in the next video.